partnership with Newton County, and it's going to be a great time to talk to about 30 of these companies with great local careers available. It's next Tuesday, a week from today. It's at GPTC, Georgia Perimeter Technical College in Covington. To make it worth your while, we'll give you a gas card for participating. We will give you a free blazer if you want to upgrade your look when you walk in before you meet the employers. And Takeda, Hitachi Astemo, Leggett & Platt, Elite Storage, Master Rack, Dart, and other Walton County companies will be there. So I just want to make a public invitation. Hope to see you at the Regional Job Fair next Tuesday. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And if you're giving away a gas card, that's a big incentive these days. So,
is it for more than a gallon?
2 gallons. All right. Well, thank you very much. Would y'all all please join us in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance and then the invocation? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Shelnut, you're my favorite.
Father, thank you so much for this day. Thank you for the much needed rain to get rid of all this pollen. Please be with each one of us tonight as we make decisions for the county and help us to guide our heart in the right direction. Please be with everyone here tonight and help them on their way home and keep them safe. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Okay, I'm going to officially call the meeting to order. And on the roll call, before we make sure all the commissioners here, I want to recognize a new hire, John Ward. He's sitting over here. He's going to be the county manager for Walton County. He will be handling the day-to-day and operations of Walton County. And it'll allow me more time to maybe get out and meet more citizens and see more problems, which is always fun to tackle. Let the record show that all the commissioners except for Commissioner Bo Warren is present. All right, and adoption of the agenda. Does anyone have any additions, deletions, or changes on the agenda this month? If not, I entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
Make the agenda be adopted.
Have a motion.
I'll second the motion.
I have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. We have a proclamation today. This is Child Abuse Prevention Month, and we would like for the proclamation to be read, and we're going to adopt it. And tell us your name, and then feel free to tell us what you need to.
I will, yeah, thank you. Hey, everybody. My name's Lauren Gregory. I work for a Child's Voice Child Advocacy Center. I've been here before. This is not our first time declaring Child Abuse Prevention Month in the county of Walton. So our agency is a private nonprofit located in Social Circle, and we provide services to children for which there is concern that there's been abuse. So these are kids from our county. Walton County and Newton County is who we serve. But today we're celebrating Child Abuse Prevention Month here in Walton County. And that's because we know that children do experience abuse in our community, but we also know that they can heal when they have the right supports. And that's what our center does, is we partner with DFACS and law enforcement as part of the criminal investigation into child abuse cases, and then we provide those services for children to heal. So last year in Walton County, which you'll hear in the proclamation, but it's a little wordy, so we like to kind of do this part too, so you can actually hear what you're doing. But we served 64 kids through the Walton County Sheriff's Office referrals last year, 2 through Walton County DFACS, and 21 through the Monroe Police Department. And then we did 16 forensic medical exams. So these are medical exams to make sure kids' bodies are healthy, and then to collect any evidence if there is any. And then we make a lot of counseling referrals and a lot of family support. But we also do prevention because we know that child abuse can be prevented. So that's what April is all about. If you've driven by the Baptist Church since Saturday, hopefully you've seen our blue pinwheels. So the pinwheel is the symbol of safe and healthy childhoods, and that's what we're here about today. That adults can prevent child abuse and we can help you. So if you ever have questions, if you ever are worried about a kid or you want to learn more, our center is a resource for everybody in the community, even if you're not there as a client. So thank you for your time. I've got a little something for you that I'll pass out after you do your official proclamation.
Okay. Entertain a motion to make April official Child Abuse Prevention Month.
So moved.
Have a motion by Commissioner Bradford,
Second.
second by Commissioner Dixon. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose? Passes unanimous.
All right.
All right, thank you
Thank y'all
so much. And 64 cases is 64 too many. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman, I'd also like to state our appreciation for all that y'all do, because these people are angels that had to deal with this. I appreciate it very much.
So noted. Any other commissioners have a comment they would like to? If not, we'll go to the fun part of the meeting, the planning and zoning recommendations. Case number 5.1, Sharna.
Okay, this is approval with conditions, case Z 22010006, rezone 146.13 acres from A1 to R1 OSC for a residential subdivision. The applicant is LGI Homes. The owner is Alcovey River LLC, Jim Williams Jr. Property is located at the corner of 7059 Highway 81 and Double Springs Road. This is in District 1. The Planning Commission recommended approval on this. I did want to just try to put some notes out for the board. There's 4 subdivisions that abut this property to the south that are zoned R1 OSC with 1 dwelling per 1 acre density on septic. To the north, the properties are zoned A1. Ridgewood subdivision is located to the north with lots ranging from 1 acre up to 5. It does comply with the land use. The neighbors had concerns about, basically, most of it was congestion and traffic issues right there. The motion to recommend approval with conditions was unanimous. Condition number 1 was 104 lots. Condition number 2, 2,000 square foot for a 1-story, 2,200 square foot for 2-story, with primarily brick or stacked stone on the front, fiber cement siding, shake or board and batten on the remainder, and a 3-foot-high brick or stacked stone water table. Number 3, only 5% of the homes may be rented. Number 4, in the 100-foot undisturbed buffer, the first 50 foot shall remain outside of the lot and be maintained by the HOA. Number 5 is that they install a 5-foot black vinyl-coated chain-link fence around the detention pond and also screen it with a double staggered row of evergreens. Number 6, no access on Double Springs Church Road. And number 7 is to require them to do a landscaped entrance that has to be approved by the director with decorative masonry entrance features. And they did have some, concerns about some of these conditions, which I'll let them represent. I think he's got a PowerPoint that he wants to present to the board.
Okay, that'll be fine. Thank you, Sharna. Okay, I'm going to open up the public hearing on this case, and if the applicant would please come forward and tell us what they have in store for this property. And I assume you're in favor of this, being the applicant.
I am. My name is Paul Mitchell. I'm a lawyer at the law firm of Miles Hansford and Talent, and I'm going to try to plug in this PowerPoint presentation. Again, my client is LGI Homes. They're a developer and home builder. This is the property, as the plan director just described, off of Georgia Highway 81 and Double Springs Road. It's about 146 acres. This is the aerial view. There are several neighborhoods nearby that are similar density. So I want to point out a couple things that have changed since we came in front of the Planning Commission. We have reduced the density a little bit. We came, at first, we came in front of you for 104 homes. Now we're going to ask for no more than 100. So that does decrease the density down to 0.68 homes per acre. The minimum lot size stays the same. The total open space is going to be over 36 acres. And just today, we were able to get from our engineer the most up-to-date proposed site plan. And I think this, I hope that this addresses some of the major concerns that were raised in front of the Planning Commission, namely, the second entrance has now been eliminated. There was a proposed entrance on Double Springs Road, and there was a lot of concern about what that would do to traffic congestion there at that intersection. So we have eliminated that entrance. Now there's only one entrance. It is on Highway 81. One thing I want to address in the Planning Commission's conditions, and this is almost more a matter of semantics than anything else. The builder is completely fine with having 100 feet being undisturbed along 81. The one thing, in order to allow for enough flexibility with the way they actually engineer the roads and the lot going through here, they do not want to have the 50-foot undisturbed buffer that's inside of the property line to be outside of the lots. In other words, what we have right now, and if you look, I don't know if I have a, so if you look up here, whoops. So I can get that. If you look along the north, up along where 81 is, up here, there will be 100 feet that's undisturbed from the right-of-way before you get to the houses. But the distinction that the builder, that's important for the builder to make, is that there is that 50-foot, so basically we have two 50-foot buffers. In front of the Planning Commission, it was suggested to have a 50-foot buffer outside of the lot lines. But if we do that, then it pushes the street farther to the south, and it makes everyone have to reconfigure where the lots are. So we can still accomplish the same thing, which is to have a 100-foot undisturbed buffer, and the 50 feet that would have been outside of the lot lines, I don't know if this makes sense or not, it can still be controlled by the HOA. So there's still going to be a guarantee that you have the same amount of buffer. It's, like I said, more of a matter of semantics, but the builder is fine with having the 100 feet. It's just that it's not fine with having an extra 50 feet before you get into the lots. I don't know if that made any sense or not, but we can talk about it in a minute. So we've tried to address the various concerns from the neighbors, the environmental concerns about the watershed, septic tanks, and all that. Of course, everything's going to meet all of the requirements it has to meet. The minimum house size, we're completely okay with the conditions as they are on the house sizes. We think this will contribute to property values. The buffers and fencing, we're okay with everything with the small caveat that I just mentioned. The restriction on rental homes, we're fine with the condition that was in front of the Planning Commission on that. And as far as impact on public services, obviously all development has an impact on public services, but I would say there's positive impact too with increased tax revenues and the like. Traffic and access, we have tried to ameliorate and avoid the problems with traffic access, especially on Double Springs Road. And I think, again, I think most of the issues on this project have been worked out, both with the neighbors and with, in front of the Planning Commission. We've tried to keep open channels of communication. We've been communicating with Commissioner Warren about this as well. So I have the proposed conditions in conclusion here in the PowerPoint as well. Again, these are almost verbatim with what was in front of the Planning Commission. With exception number 1, we've reduced it from 104 lots to 100. The second proposed condition is the same as in the Planning Commission's conditions. The third condition is almost exactly the same. There's one small difference, and that is on the water table requirement. We're totally fine with having the 3-foot high brick or stacked stone water table on the sides of the homes. As it was worded in the condition, it would require it, even on some of these basement homes, a water table wrapping all the way around, and we didn't think that aesthetically that would be necessarily the best thing, at least not to require it for all of them. Now, the builder may elect to do that for some of the houses, but that's one of the very few changes to the conditions that we'd ask for. That is that the 3-foot water table be required on the sides, which is totally fine, but then have flexibility as to the rear of the home. The fourth condition is totally fine, having the double-car garage. The fifth condition, 5% restriction on rentals, totally fine. Number 6, this is the one where I tried very inarticulately to describe when I was showing you the proposed site plan. This is about the 100-foot buffer. Again, the 100-foot buffer is fine. It's just about where you draw the lot lines. And so I've put here the language that would still have the 100 feet and would still have the first 50 feet of that buffer being maintained by the HOA. It's just that that buffer would be counted inside of the lot lines. And again, that's important for the way they configure the road and where the lots are. It does not change the number of lots. It does not change the density. Number 7, totally fine about natural vegetation. Number 8, totally fine. Number 9, totally fine. And I think that's about it. So number 7, natural vegetation. 8, the grassed areas. 9, underground utilities. 10, detention ponds. 11, again, ingress and egress on Double Springs Road prohibited. That's that second entrance that we took out. And then number 12 is also already in the Planning Commission conditions about the landscaping for the entrance. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to address them. Thank you.
Okay, any questions from the board at this moment? Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else here in favor of this and wants to speak in favor of this rezone? Okay, seeing none, I'll ask that the opposition please start coming forward. Please try not to repeat the same objections. If someone objects, traffic issue, we get that. But if those that are here in opposition would like to come forward, please, one at a time. Tell us your name and address.
My name is Jason Gothier. I'm at 1723 Twin Oak Place. Representing the HOA. Most are on spring break right now, so a lot couldn't make it. Our two biggest concerns as they addressed, one was the entrance on Double Springs, and certainly the traffic in that area. If you travel on 81 and Double Springs every day, it's not uncommon to be on 81 backed up quarter mile, almost a half a mile going back towards the two gas stations and the roundabout there. And then Double Springs Road will be backed up well past the gas pipeline that's about 50 yards back from the corner. And that's right now, before adding another 200 cars a day and 100 home dwelling in that area. From the other exception that we had was the price of the homes and the size of the homes. They say that raise our property values. I would I guess I would argue that putting a $300,000 home next to a $500,000 home, that's a significant difference in size and price, and it's certainly not going to enhance the property values of the surrounding homes and the subdivisions that are already there. So we are not opposed to the subdivision going in. We understand that there's a need for housing. We understand the need for these subdivisions. I myself moved here 6 months ago from Colorado. Had a little bit of trouble finding a home, so we certainly understand the need of the subdivision. We just don't want our families to be put in danger from a traffic perspective, and those roads there are pretty busy. And then, we don't want to lose value in the property that we do have. So,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Okay, next. Is there anyone else here in opposition to this rezone? Would the applicant like to rebut the concerns of the opposition? You have that right at this point.
I don't really have anything to add, other than we certainly do hope to build a beautiful product.
Okay. All right. Well, at this point, I am going to close the public hearing and allow the board to ask questions. And I'd like to start off asking one question. I understand not wanting an exit on Double Springs, but 104 homes, if the first home had some sort of fire or something like that, how would the other homes get serviced or anything? Do we have anything mandating a second entrance if there's more than 100? So that's why this was lowered to 100 to match that. Is the entrance on Double Springs a big issue with the community? I'm thinking safety factor is what I'm thinking.
That's our primary issue.
That's your primary issue.
That entrance right there. There's about 60 yards back from the entrance is a gas pipeline right there, a substation that sticks way up out of the ground and stuff. The traffic backs way up Double Springs as well as both ways down.
We're well aware of the traffic issues in this county, and they're only going to get worse if we don't get on top, and I'm working on that too, but that's at another time. All right, thank you for that. And any questions from the board?
I got a question, Mr. Chairman.
All right.
As far as the buffer's concerned, so the net effect really is a 50-foot buffer is what you're saying versus 100-foot?
No, it is a 100-foot buffer.
Okay.
The difference is if the language that was proposed for the two 50-foot buffers, it'd be one 50-foot buffer would be outside of the lot lines, and that's the problem with that for designing the neighborhood is that then that takes square footage out of the lot itself and forces you to push everything. In this drawing, it pushes everything farther south, and there's water running through the middle, and so it doesn't change the overall density, but it would change the layout in a way that just seemed like unnecessarily problematic. So it is the exact same buffer distance. It is still 100 feet. It's just that 50 of those feet are inside of the property lines, but it's maintained by the HOA.
So how does that affect those homeowners who are on those lots?
They'll have the rear 50 feet of their property. It'll essentially be like an easement. The rear 50 feet of their property, they won't be able to disturb it. And then that'll all be, just like with everything else with restrictive covenants and all of that, that's how that's controlled.
So that'll be explained to the homeowners going in that your 50 feet of your property is not really your property?
It is their property, but they can't disturb it. But absolutely, yes, that they would absolutely know that, yes.
So you compensating those lot owners? No?
I'm sorry?
Are you compensating those lot owners for the easement? I mean, they're giving up 50 feet of their property. Are you compensating them for that 50 feet?
Sure. I mean, it would be however much less than if it didn't have that easement on there.
Shauna, does that make sense? You okay with that?
Well, the code requires 100 foot. So regardless, it's 100 foot, non-buildable buffer off the existing county road. or the state route in this case. So normally, it's there always.
It's who
As a
maintains it.
non-buildable area.
Right.
So
Whether
this is
the
just saying
homeowners
that
maintain it or,
as some kind of, like, maybe a landscaped area, you know? And in fact, if that's what they do, if they do landscape that 50-foot, it's really better possibly for the homeowner if the HOA does help maintain it, if it's, you know,
Okay.
That's right. We're not trying to get around the 100-foot requirement at all. It's just a matter, it's how they count it in the lot size, that's all.
okay? Any,
I have another question, Mr.
all
Chairman.
right?
To keep us in compliance with code, are you willing to reduce the amount of lots to 99 instead of the 104 to
He's
maintain with
reduced
the
it
one
to
entrance?
100.
100 plus, more than
It's not 100. It's not 104 now, it's 100.
Oh,
Sharner made that.
right. So if they had 101
Yeah,
lots,
101.
they would be required to have 2 entrances.
Okay, so
So
100.
they're good with the 1 entrance.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, and we're not asking for any variances or anything like that on this one.
Okay. Any more questions? Commissioner Warren, this is his district, and I spoke with him this afternoon, and he asked me to make a motion on this on his behalf, but it'll be my motion since I'm doing it. And I move that we approve this with the conditions that the planning and zoning set forth, with the exception of the rental language. The county has no way to monitor or police or look after who rents a house or what at this time. We can look at a whole subdivision that's put up for rental, but private homeowners renting their home, we have no way. So I'm going to delete in the motion, the 5% of homes be leased or rented. And,
Chairman Thompson, do you want to consider making the motion, though, to use the conditions from his PowerPoint? Because that's the only place that the 100 is listed as.
with 100 homes, yes.
So I think if he fairly laid them out in his PowerPoint, it might be easiest for Sharna and for Rhonda, when you do the minutes, that you use that PowerPoint as the.
That's fine. You want to go back to that PowerPoint right quick?
I've got a copy of it.
You got a copy of it.
And this was
And
Commissioner
the
Warren.
only the rental language is going to be unenforceable.
Take that off is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Use that as your.
Use that and take that off the 100 homes. That's my motion on behalf of Commissioner Warren.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, oppose? Passes unanimous. Thank y'all, and I think that's a good compromise. And they're gonna build homes that's gonna sell, and if there's larger homes in the area, they will follow suit, so. All right, number 2.
Okay. All right, this is approval of case Z22020013, rezone 1.265 acres from B2 to B3 for major auto repair. The applicant is Baker Group RE LLC, and they are the owner with George Baker Jr. Property is located at 1687 Highway 78. Map shows us in District 3 and 5. Let's look at that.
Okay. Is the applicant here, would like to come forth and tell us what they want to do?
I did want to let y'all know that I did condense some of the conditions on these to things that are not required by code. So
Okay.
I had like 5 or 6 conditions on that first one. He had 9. Some of them are already required by code, and I did not put them in there.
That's what I thought,
For the sake
too.
of the
Okay.
clerk having room to put it in the agenda.
All right.
Hello, my name is.
Hang on, did I open the public meeting on this? Well, I'm double opening the public meeting on this, and the applicant, please come forward. Thank you.
Hello, my name is George Baker. I'm the owner of this property here. We're here to respectfully ask that the property be rezoned from B2 to B3. We recently built this 6,000 square foot shell building to rent. We're trying to create a nice commercial project here in Walton County. We did a full brick front on the building. We sold some property to the right of this building, and a couple of gentlemen have put their business in there. They have a brick front, it's very nice. Another lady will be building a building here soon. Just trying to create a nice project here on 78. We have a tenant that would like to operate an upscale light-duty truck and auto repair, and they also perform aftermarket truck and automotive upgrades. They're here tonight. We'll be finishing about 1,000 square feet of the 6,000 square feet for offices, showroom, and waiting area. And the character area for this property is Highway Corridor, which says that the B3 is a compatible zoning district. If y'all have any questions, we'll be happy to try to answer them. The building's already there, so you know what it's going to look like. Just need to have a zoning change for the use that the folks want to do.
Okay. Any questions of the applicant at this point? All right, thank you, George. Is there anyone else here supporting this would like to make a statement, or is this sufficient? Okay. Or is there anyone here in opposition to this rezone? Seeing none, then I can close this public hearing and entertain a motion from the board.
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion, we approve this rezone.
Okay, we have a motion to approve and a quick second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oppose? Passes unanimous. Thank you. Number 5-3.
Mr. Chairman, on the front side of 5-3, I'd like for you to consider hearing 5-3, 5-4, and 5-5 all at the same time, as they tie to the same piece of property and the same development they're wanting to pull together.
What's the law on that? Is that allowable, counsel? Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay. All right,
Thank
so conditional use, CU 22020004, is a conditional use for outside storage on 4.93 acres. The next one is a land use amendment and a rezone with conditional use, land use from Village Center to Highway Corridor, and this is rezone A2 to B2 for mini warehouses and outside storage on 2.50 acres. And then number 5 is also a land use change from Village Center to Highway Corridor and a rezone with conditional use for the same, mini warehouses and outside storage. As stated, the applicant would like to do mini warehouse self-storage and outside storage for a contractor yard for tractors, bobcats, and general parking. The request does comply with the Highway Corridor, which is what they're changing it to. There was no opposition, and the motion to recommend approval as requested was unanimous.
Okay, thank you. So the applicant here would like to come forward and tell us what we're doing.
Good evening. My name's Gable Holder, and thank you for your time considering this. My family and I own 4 parcels in Pleasant Valley, right on Highway 11 and Alcovey Mountain Road. We've operated a sawmill and specialty wood business at that location for the last 20 years or so, and we're ready to kind of move to what may be the next chapter for this property. What we'd like to do is, now there's 4 parcels currently. What we want to do is we want to build mini warehouses. So 2 of the parcels, which are the first conditional use, the one that ends in the 4, they're currently zoned B2, so we could go ahead and build mini warehouses on those today if we wanted to. But what we'd like to also do is we're not going to build every inch of it in mini warehouses, so we thought, well, maybe we'll fence in an area and have a contractor yard that we rent out, and that's what triggered the conditional use. We're not trying to put truck parking in there. We don't want to put truck parking in that area. We're not interested in that business. So that's what we're doing with the conditional use. Now, adjacent to that and adjoining that parcel is 2.5 acres that are currently zoned A2, and they have a conditional use for sawmill. And that's what we've operated under up until now. Well, we no longer saw logs, and we don't really intend to go back to sawing logs. So we would like to change the zoning on that parcel to reflect how we currently use it, which is as a specialty wood business. And we do operate out of that and plan to continue to operate off of that, out of that piece of property. So that's the land use amendment and rezone request for 1970 Alcovey Mountain Road that is on here. And then there's one more parcel that gives us our entrance on 11, which is 512 Highway 11 South. And that little parcel is currently split zone. The front part is zoned B2, and the back half, this little parcel is, I think, about 9/10 of an acre, but the back half is zoned R2. We want to get that zone B2 so that we can use it as our entrance to our mini warehouse facility. We don't intend to have an entrance to the facility off of Alcovey Mountain Road other than as required by code to allow a secondary access for fire. So we'll have an easement and a gate there, but it will not be the entrance to the facility. It won't be the customer entrance. They'll have no access through Alcovey Mountain Road. I think I've talked about all of it. So if at this time, I'll yield the podium.
Are there any questions of the applicant from the board? Okay, thank you. Does anyone else here want to speak in favor of this? If not, is there anyone here in opposition to this rezoning? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing on these three cases and entertain a motion to approve all three under one motion.
Mr. Chairman.
Or deny.
Were you asking? Okay. There, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve as approved at the Planning and Zoning Commission with the additional conditions of no tractor-trailer type vehicles and that the main entrance must be off of the 512 Highway 11.
Two conditions?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay, we have a motion to approve these with two conditions, no tractor trailers, and that the main entrance be at 512 Georgia Highway 11.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? And put me down as abstaining because my house is full of their heart pine lumber I bought from them. So anyway, thank y'all. Number 5-6.
Okay, rezone Z22010024, rezone 125.51 acres from A1 to R1 OSC for a residential subdivision. The applicant is David Pearson Communities, owner James Matthew Mazawi and John Mark Mazawi as trustees for Hugh Mazawi. Property is located on Georgia Highway 20 and Pointer Road. This is in District 2. The proposal is for 172 lots that will be serviced by a private sewer system. There's two subdivisions that abut this property that are zoned R1 OSC with one dwelling per 1 acre density on septic. To the north, the properties are A1. To the west, one parcel over is a manufactured home park. The request does comply with the land use, which is suburban. The neighbors spoke in opposition with concerns that the area is already congested with traffic, and they had concerns about the private sewer as well. The motion to recommend approval with conditions was unanimous. The first condition was that it be 125 lots 125 lots with one dwelling per 1 acre density using septic. The houses are 2,000 square foot for 1 story and would be 2,200 square foot for 2-story, with primarily brick or stacked stone on the front facade, with fiber cement siding, shake or board and batten on the remainder, with a minimum 3-foot high brick or stacked stone water table. Only 5% of the homes may be rented. And like I said, that was unanimous. There was a lot more conditions, but most of them were already required by code.
Okay. Thank you. All right, I'll open the public hearing on 5-6. Is the applicant here and would like to come forward and tell us what we're doing?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. Oh,
Let me fix them out right quick. Give me 1 second. Get it up there. It's okay. Okay, there you go.
thank you. Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. My name is Melody Glauton with Anderson, Tate & Carr, 1960 Satellite Boulevard in Duluth. It is my privilege to be here this evening on behalf of the applicant, David Pearson Communities. This application for rezoning is submitted for a 125-acre parcel of land that is located at Georgia Highway 20 and Pointer Road. The property currently has some existing structures on the site that will be removed subject to the approval of this rezoning application. And as you can see here this evening, the property is currently zoned A1, and the applicant now seeks to rezone that property to R1 OSC to develop a distinctive and attractive single-family residential community. As you are probably familiar with this application was submitted for an R1 OSC with 172 homes. And you are probably familiar that we have been here before the commission before on this application, and we have worked very hard to present a plan that the community and the county would be supportive of. And so it previously was at 172, and the Planning Commission did support a recommendation of approval, but has supported that with a reduced density of 125 homes, which we are in agreement with those staff recommended conditions. This particular property, as you can see here on the map, it is an L-shaped tract of land. And again, it is within that suburban character area, which does support this particular type of land use. And so what we are asking for this evening is for your approval with those 125 homes. With regard to this particular application, again, it was previously submitted, that unit count was much higher. It was previously at 240 units. We revised that site plan to come back at 172 units. I do think that the substantial amount of the opposition with regard to that proposed plan was because of that private sewer system that was designed to be on the property. And so when you reduce that density down to 125, those lots will have their own private septic tanks. So again, we are in agreement with those staff recommended conditions. This will be a very high-end, distinctive community that this county can be proud of. We understand that there is a shortage of housing units, and we think this will be something that can be an added benefit to the community in this county. And again, we're happy to address any questions that you may have with regard to this application. But as you can see, again, it's been a substantial reduction in density as this application has progressed over time. We started at 240. We have a site plan that shows 172, but that does include the private sewer system. Again, when you come down to 125, so over time, that is a 52% reduction in density overall. We're excited about this opportunity to be here in Walton County. We are in agreement with those conditions, and again, happy to address any questions that you may have.
Okay, thank you very much. Does the board have any questions? All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Is there anyone else in support of this that would like to speak? Okay, opposition, would you like to come forward and state your opposition to this new layout?
Yes, sir, my name's Clay Dawes. I live in Creekwood subdivision. If they gonna cut streets and retention ponds and a lake and a graveyard, how do you get 125 acres and get 125 houses on it with acre lots if they're gonna have like a 50-foot buffer and stuff? I don't understand that.
It says 125 lot limit. It doesn't mean every lot will be 1 acre.
So they're not gonna be acre lots.
They most likely will not in the RSD. They will
My
be.
understanding was it had to be acre
They'll-
lots.
No, the density cannot exceed 1 house per acre. And it has to support, that lot has to support a septic system and an alternative septic system. So the lot has to be big enough, but it doesn't mean that the lot in the RS, what's it called?
OSC.
OSC, the lot itself can be 3/4 of an acre and still meet those classifications, is my understanding.
But the last time we was here and you spoke, you said that they had to be on acre lots. When meetings,
Density,
they weren't
density
here.
has to be 1 per acre. They can't put, you got 125 acres, the most that could possibly go on there is 125 houses. That's our code. Now, that doesn't mean that every lot's 1 acre, but they cannot have more than 125 houses in there, period. And if the health department approves a lot and it's 3/4 of an acre and it has an alternative drain field and the primary drain field, then that lot's permissible under this RSOC.
Do they have the lots already drawn out somewhere so you would know where stuff's going and stuff?
Well, they will draw these lots out, and that'll be the next phase once this is approved. And I can tell you from experience, this 125 lots will drop probably 8 to 10% due to soils and to the roads on the total density. They never yield the total density of 1 per acre. What I've seen, have you seen any yield the total density? And your area has some subsurface rock areas in it,
You got a
too.
swamp too.
Yeah.
Are they gonna like just strip the land before they do all this?
I can't answer those questions. I do not
Or
know.
are they gonna do it the old way where they leave some trees and come
I
in?
figured they would come in and master plan the site and build it out. These large companies, they come in and master grade and build as they go and do it in phases. 125 probably be 3 phases.
In the buffer zone, does that mean they can't touch nothing in that buffer?
The buffers, they can be planted buffers if they're just vacant raw land. That's up to the code department and their.
There are requirements in the code for, again, this subdivision has to have 100 foot off the county road. And then anywhere that you're abutting a non-residential use, there's a 50-foot buffer.
And if you button a residential use, there's not.
A buffer is a buffer from one use to another.
Okay.
If it's the same use, there's not a buffer.
So they can come right up to my door?
To your property line, just like.
Because
you
my,
go up to yours.
my bedroom ain't like far from here to Mr. Banks off the property
There would
line.
be right, if you're in one of the subdivisions, that's correct.
So they can come right up to my bathroom.
Well, there's a setback. There's a rear setback of 40 foot.
Okay, so they can go cut the trees up to the line. Okay. And the rental thing, you said you can't do nothing about rental property?
We cannot, in enforcement through the code department, we don't know if a house is rented or if it's,
So if they come in here and start throwing all these houses up and the bottom falls out like it did before, and they can't sell them, are they gonna turn them into Section 8 houses?
that I don't know.
Is that legal?
If they build a 2,000 square foot home today, it's going to be a minimum $360,000, $380,000 house at today's cost. That means the rents would have to be $4,200 to
Yeah, but
amortize
if
the
they can't
debt.
get rid of it, can they turn it into Section 8 and sell it like over in Terre?
Well, you know,
Houses over there.
we can what if this to death.
Well, I'm just, you know.
Every
is
house
that the
that's been,
plan?
every house that's been built, sir, has been sold before it's completed, mainly. This area up there, they've got it reduced down to what's around them. These homes and subdivisions around, one house per acre on average,
And the buffer zone that I thought was B where they couldn't come down and next.
and
on
they will
property
follow the
they-
codes that we have.
Oh, that's gonna be wonderful. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, the next opposition, please.
Good evening. My name is Robin Dill. I'm at 833 Winding Grove Lane, and that's the Waverly subdivision right next door. The mission statement of our county states to guide and regulate the orderly growth, development, redevelopment, and preservation of Walton County in accordance with a well-considered comprehensive plan and with the long-term objectives, principles, standards deemed beneficial to the interest and the welfare of the people. We live in the county, they don't. So I want to make that point real clear. I have spent many days reading through the Walton County Comprehensive Land Use Plan that you guys have just approved. And there's a lot of concerns that I have about this development. We live in a subdivision that is supposed to have 55 PSI water pressure, and it is 40. And we have a possibility of a new subdivision coming in, and there's been nothing addressed about water. The second issue is when you look at the land, there's a lot of granite, there's a lake, there is a floodplain, and there's a watershed. And I'm concerned about the permeability of that soil. Now, I know that they have done a soil test, but I'd like to ask for a level 4 soil test. That is one that is required for issues like I believe this land has, because the last thing I want to see, and I believe our whole neighborhood, and if y'all aren't in favor of this, would y'all just stand up if you're here that are in opposition? What we're concerned about is we've enjoyed the beauty of 125 acres of land that have not been developed, and all of a sudden, we're going to come in and clear cut this land. It's going to affect the ecosystem, the habitat of all of the bird and wildlife in that area, and it's going to ruin the soil. There's going to be erosion. The gentleman whose backyard is going to be right there. There's already flooding that is happening. So there's a concern with all the rain that we've had for flooding. We're also concerned about an entrance on Pointer Road. That is a small rural road, and yesterday I walked my dog down it, and in the 30 minutes that I went down that road, there was already speeders, and I'm thinking we're going to add 100 to 200 cars on that little bitty road. I can't even imagine what issues that's going to cause the county and the sheriff's department. The other thing is the concern about our neighborhood butting up against their proposed neighborhood and what kind of buffer is going to be there. There's a lot of hardwoods. If you look at an aerial picture, and the Forestry Department in 1999 did an aerial infrared survey of that land, 60% is pine and 40% is hardwood. And the Forest Service said when they did that, the 60% pine was fairly young pine. That's 21 years ago. Those hardwoods are incredible resources to the soil and the erosion factor of that land. The last thing I have a concern about is who's going to run the HOA of this. Is David Pearson going to be in charge of the HOA, which we've already seen about his reputation? We're concerned about that. Traffic, is there going to be a light at Thompson in the entrance there? Because that's 200 more cars on Georgia 20. That's going to be unbelievable. We would like to see the new plan before you approve it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Next. She covered a lot. Okay. Seeing no more, I will close the, well, I need to give Pearson a chance to come back and address the concerns of the citizens. So,
Ma'am, can I ask you a question? Gentleman sitting beside you. Are you
Yes,
from
sir.
Ms. Alley's? No. You're not? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Do you know when this property was bought? I'm thinking mid-'70s.
It might be in the staff report.
It was bought with several of the Mazzowie transactions back in the 70s when Dr. Mazzowie was
I
purchased.
would think 76, 77,
Right.
somewhere in that area.
And I think it's actually held in trust. Yes, sir. If I can, just briefly, thank you for the opportunity to respond. And thank you, Ms. Dill. I actually remember her from the Planning Commission meeting. And at that time, I think, again, a lot of the concerns were based on the sewer system, the wildlife sanctuary. And I think her request even at the Planning Commission was that there be a moratorium on home building for the next 3 years. And so just if I can, I appreciate her also bringing up the comp plan. As I indicated in my opening presentation, the current character area for Walton County classifies this property as within the suburban character area. And this character area designation indicates that it is planned to accommodate the majority of new residential growth. This character area specifically encourages residential development that is consistent with the spirit and the intent set forth in your comprehensive plan. And, you know, I think it's not unusual for an adjacent neighborhood to enjoy having an undeveloped piece of property as their neighboring piece of property for an extended period of time. And change can be hard and growth can be hard. But this piece of property is, in fact, consistent with your comprehensive plan, and this proposed development is, in fact, consistent with your comprehensive plan. And again, this is a significant reduction in density from where this plan has originally started. And so, while I'm sure that the adjacent property owners would like to continue to enjoy this massive green space and neighboring piece of property that has been there for quite some time, we are at a stage where it is ready to be developed. And so we have brought forth a plan, and we have revised that plan consistently to meet all of the standards of Walton County. There are, in fact, no variances that are required for this site, which is different than what one of the original applications that was brought forward. At the start of this process, there were several variances that this site actually needed. And here we are, there are no variances required for this development of this property. And so, again, it meets the comp plan, it meets the code, there are no variances required. In fact, again, one of the main issues was that you did not want to develop the site with this private sewer system. And so we reverted to the septic tanks. And so again, we are meeting the needs of this community. We are meeting the requirements of the code. I think that, as Mr. Chairman indicated, it is in fact a safety concern to have two entrances for a development. And so that's why you have two entrances, one on Pointer Road. In fact, is going to help the development have ease and access to different services and to have mobility for those potential residents and those homeowners. So again, this is an appropriate land use. This is something that we seek your approval. And again, we're in agreement with those recommended conditions. I'm happy to address any questions that you may have. And we would respectfully ask for your approval of this rezoning. And again, happy to address any questions.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions that the board would like to ask?
Sharna, I think it's required, right, before they can get the final plat, they have to have a level 4 done on every lot.
Level 3.
Level 3 is required. I'm sorry, I'm Doug Patton. I'm Director of Land for Dave Pierce Communities. Level 3 soil survey is what is required for a land disturbance permit, of which is, we have completed that level 3 with an outside third-party soil scientist. If there's any problematic soils, when you get to the actual specific installation of the home and the construction of the home, that point you'll be required to do a level 4. And that would also have to go through the environmental health department for that to happen. But the level 3 is what the basics in the general planning, and well, actually the specific planning would be approved by environmental health. As far, just to mention, as far as the water line, we've already had another third party that was here last with us with the planning commission doing an analysis of the water system down there, and yes, their pressure is low. And we do have recommendations from them of how we're going to have to address, pay for, and improve that water system to not only improve our water system and fire protection, but it will also improve the adjacent neighborhoods in the process.
Is that by increasing the lines on Johnson Road?
We have to increase the lines on Highway 20.
To what size?
It's one size up. I think right now it's at 8. We're going to 12.
So your water will be coming off 20 and Johnson Road then?
Yeah, it'll be a looped system, and it'll increase the water pressure in all the neighborhoods behind us. And to answer that gentleman's concern up there, is one thing to make him understand is he says we're going to be right up their back door. We still have a 50-foot buffer around the perimeter of this site. We're planning the septic systems, the secondary systems, in the outside of the lots, of which would mean unless the first system fails, those tree stands will stay. They won't be there. The second thing is that I can't go in there and clear cut the entire site when I do a septic system, because the testing and level 3's testing is done based on the existing elevation 5 foot down. I can't go down there and cut it 20 feet down and expect the same soils to be there. So once you go to a septic system, you're limited on how much you can clear and how much you would clear because of the soil testing that's done. We are still honoring the floodplain and the undisturbed areas along the creek and the buffers along through there, and we're still putting in the amenities. We're still going to revegetate the entire areas that have to be cleared for the entrance roads for the 100-foot setback or non-buildable areas adjacent to both right-of-ways. So some of the fact that, people assume that a big builder like us or a big developer like us comes in and clear cuts, everything goes away. That's not the case. And then to answer the question, no, we are not going to manage the HOA.
Okay. Any more questions? Yes, sir.
We're honoring the 50-foot setback along the perimeter of the property, which we're not required to do, but we are. It'd be 50 foot from the back of possible of our house to the property line, and then whatever your setback is, that's possibly 75 feet plus. Plus that area is going to be septic drain lines. Right. Yeah. If
But you don't know.
I don't know what your setback is, but I know what we're honoring.
Okay. They're honoring the 50-foot setbacks,
Yes.
correct? Okay. Well, once this is approved, it'll be approved on this number of lot limits, which means that's the maximum number of lots.
That's right.
And it'll have to meet the setbacks, and they'll spend the money on engineering, and as soon as Sharna and them have it, it'll be available to view. But it'll proceed forward then. We're proving the concept of developing this tract of land and limiting the number of dwellings on it, and approving setbacks, approving 2 entrances, approving a water loop on the system, which is going to improve water pressure in the area. And we're aware of water pressure in the county. It is, and we're working on that right now. There's some big deals. One's going to be approved tonight, and upgrading transition lines. But we're proving the concept of developing this tract of land, limiting to X number of houses based on the acreage of the tract of land, with the setbacks, the square footage that's determined in here. The exterior siding is also one of the conditions. And following the OSC guidelines.
If I could, the OSC guidelines are 40-foot rear setback. So if it was approved, then you want to say 50-foot rear setback. It wouldn't be that big of an issue.
Okay, if it's approved.
Can we get proof of perkability for this property?
Sir?
Can we get proof of perkability for this property? Because I walk back there, and this is
No.
They cannot build on swamp, and the Environmental Protection Agency, as well as the Health Department and everything. So they'll build on the developable land. All right? I'm going to close the public hearing, and, yes. All right, I'll open back up the public hearing real quick for.
Does the county have any intention of improving the infrastructure around this so that there will be more access to the roads? Because it is going to be very limited with the delivery trucks, with the school buses, and everything that goes on in these communities now. A lot of stuff gets delivered by trucks. So the road system there and the in and out of Waverly and that area is very limited. From Exxon Station to 78, it's backed up in the afternoon trying to get people on 78. It's going to be tough.
We have,
It's a disaster.
countywide, we have various transportation infrastructure projects. Funding is a big issue. We voted down the T-Splosh 2 years ago. That was transportation splosh sales tax. So DOT put us on the bottom of their list. That was every penny raised, they would match a penny. Huge, and we voted it down. So the traffic is going to get worse until we can come up with a way to fund some of these transportation issues. We have our paving projects that we pave, but that's going to be the upcoming big issue, that and our water supply and maintaining pressure.
If you can't afford it, why would you add to it now?
Legally, personally, I can't stop someone from doing what you're living in that was done 10 years ago on that tract of land. They had the right to do it. That property owner has the same constitutional right to look at building and developing. Traffic is an issue that we just have to address as we go on. I'm just one of them. But anyway, we will stop the question. All right, you got one more comment?
Mr. Chairman, if I could, one slight correction earlier. We are in agreement with the staff recommended conditions. In the process of working with planning staff and the planning commission with regard to the architectural requirements, we asked for one very slight modification, and I apologize, I forgot to bring this to the attention. With regard to the minimum, currently it calls for a 3-foot-high brick or stacked stone water table. In our prior discussions with the planning staff and with the applicant, we are requesting to modify that to a 2-foot-high brick or stacked stone water table. And the requirement and the request for that is based on the fact that the elevations for some of the homes, when you do the 3-foot-high, it gets into the window frame. And so based on our discussions with staff, they were agreeable, I hope, with that one requested change, that it be a 2-foot-high water table as opposed to a 3-foot-high water table, only, again, based on the fact that it gets into the window frames. So with that one slight modification, again, we are in agreement with the staff recommended conditions, and we would ask for your approval.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Now I'm going to close the public hearing on this and ask the board, what's their preference?
Yeah, we see a tract of land that's laid like this for so many years, and we all want to see it remain the same. I started dating my wife, there was one blinking red light in Loganville. 2 men still plowed mules on Sharon Church Road. So I've seen some change. But this family's owned this property since the mid-'70s, and I couldn't ask them to continue paying taxes for year after year and never be able to do anything with it. The septic system, no, I was not for it at all, and I would never be for it. But they have met everything that Walton County requires. And when they meet those requirements legally, we got to move forward. I'm going to make a motion that this property be approved with 125 lots. The minimum square footage, 2,000 feet, 2,200 for 2-story. Homes be constructed primarily of brick and stacked stone. The 100-foot wide non-disturbed buffer, 50-foot transitional buffer along the perimeters not abutting the residential subdivision, and natural vegetation shall remain on the property until the issuance of a development permit. That's my motion.
Okay, Commissioner Banks made a motion to approve with those conditions.
And you bet.
That's good. The only difference is that on number 3, homes be constructed primarily of brick or stacked stone on the front. The balance of the home, do you want to use all of that and then change that water table to 2 foot?
Yes.
Just as it was stated, okay.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Okay, I'll call the vote. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Oppose? Passes unanimous. I would like, before we hear the next one, I would like to make a comment. This went from over 200 lots to 125 and met our code, and it matches subdivisions to the right of it as far as density, right and left. But I think it was a good compromise for this property. Okay, Sharna.
All right. Rezone Z 22020018, rezone 8.68 acres from A1 to B2 to to park trucks, campers, and boats with the conditional use for outside storage. The applicant, Jason Atha, owners are Don Moon and David Samples. Property is located at Georgia Highway 11 and Malin Smith Road. This is in District 4. The property is surrounded by A1 on 3 sides, and then there are 2 adjoining parcels that are zoned B3. And these B3s also, they did have conditions, several conditions. It does comply with the land use, which is highway corridor, and Tracy, didn't they recommend denial? Okay. My paper says approval, so I just wanted to correct myself. It was recommended for denial by the Planning Commission.
Okay, that's what the agenda says.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna open up public hearing on this. Is the applicant here and would like to come forward and,
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
may I request before we hear either side that we send this back to planning and zoning for further consideration of an updated plan?
Okay, I'll close the public hearing on this, and you want to make that in the form of a motion?
Yes, sir, please. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we send this back to planning and zoning for further consideration and review of an updated plan.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to send this back to planning and zoning and for them to update and fine tune their plan. Have a motion second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Passes unanimous. Okay, the alteration to zoning. Boy, you've taken up the whole night.
I know, I'm so sorry. Okay, so this was a rezone for this property on 20 that was approved in February of this year with 3 conditions: business hours 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., a 125-foot buffer on the residential homes on Green Avenue, an 8-foot fence required on that side with Leland cypress planted. I want to try to, okay, so it's right here. So what they were rezoning was this parcel and then like this portion right here of this parcel. So not the entire parcel. The applicant would like to eliminate the fence that is adjacent to this M2 so that they can, it's not a requirement unless you have outside storage for what this property zone is M1 abutting an M2. That's not required. I had a really pretty map made for y'all to look at, and I can't put it on here. Okay, another condition was that the planting of the trees be removed because there's a dense growth of trees on this property, which I can show you right here. Okay, and they made a comment that Leland cypress wouldn't survive in that dense growth. One of the other conditions is that the buffer be 125 foot and that the fence be on the inside of that buffer, and they would like that removed so that they could put the fence on their property line and reduce that buffer from 125 to 100, which is what's required by code. And the Billingsley property, the Billingsley will own the remainder. This will go, the rezone is like for this part right here. So the remaining part of the Billingsley property, we have a letter from the Billingsleys that they are in agreement to reduce the required 100-foot transitional buffer to 50. That was
Gotcha.
that was a lot, but hopefully.
Okay.
That's it.
All right, does this require opening a public hearing?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'll open public hearing if the applicant would come forward and enhance on what Sharna's told us.
Yes, sir. I'm Johnny Henderson. And what we're asking for is we would like to change it to the same thing that Mr. Gomez next door has been awarded as far as where he's putting his buffer, and we're gonna do the same fence, and we actually gonna put a fence between us. But he has a 25-foot buffer all the way around his property, and we would like to be the same buffer as what he is right there.
All right? Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman Thompson and the board. I appreciate your time. We want to thank Mark for allowing this to be revisited at the first board meeting. Mr. Henderson and I were a little unaware of the procedures, and we were a little confused by what transpired, and after we talked about it, we just wanted to address some of these things that were conditions on this property. In the meantime, over the last 2 months, I am by no means an expert on the Walton County Comprehensive Land Plan, but I have learned and read a lot about it, and want to talk just a second about that. So the 18.4 acres plus or minus is part of a 25-acre tract that my mother inherited from her father in 1980. He inherited it from his grandfather his father in 1945. It was farmed until 1945 by my mother's family, going back, I've told, to the Civil War. That land has been in our family for a very long time. The 25 acres adjacent to that was divided in 1995. 4 lots were sold, 3 residential. One is, I think the name of the church is New Hope Community Church there on Georgia 20. That was owned by my uncle, and he sold that in 1995. In September of 2021, 6.73 acres was rezoned M2. This property has been rezoned M1. It was rezoned M2 to a man that's making trusses. And he was given the exact conditions that are in the Walton County Comprehensive Land Development Ordinance with no additional restrictions. That land does buffer one of the residential properties, about half of it. If you can look at the map, it's the orange piece of property. It covers half of, or 40% of the first residential lot. And what we are requesting is that this piece of property get the same treatment as that same piece of property that was rezoned in September. The sale on this property is not complete. Mr. Henderson this is up in the air. As a property owner, myself, my wife, and my mother, if this property does not sell, it's M1, and come January 1st, our taxes will be going way up. I've owned the 7-acre slip there you see that on Georgia 20 since 1990 when it was given to me by my mother then. But the sale is not complete, and we had some concerns, and we just asked that the buffer be made the same as the 6.73 acres that has already been rezoned. It's in the exact same condition. It's the exact same piece of property. It's been in our family for years. Like I said, it's been owned by our family for 100 years. The community around there enjoys it more than we do. I have a young man that works for me that does some deer hunting, and he has ran several people off of the power line that I own. He'd go out there and hunt, and several people walking and hunting. 4-wheelers, horseback riders are constantly riding up and down the power line. So the community has enjoyed that property more than we have. And it is a little sad for us to sell it because we have had it for a long time, but the opportunity is there, and we would like to do that. And we just request that the same requirement be put in place according to the Walton County Comprehensive Land Development Ordinance. Some of the things that we talked to Commissioner Banks about have changed since we started looking at this. We're unaware of the 25-foot buffer requirement if you have a 6-foot privacy fence from M1 to A1. That is on the line development section 12. It's the minimum transfer buffer. It says transitional buffer width may be reduced to 25 feet by addition of a solid opaque fence or wall at least 6 feet high. Mr. Henderson is going to do an 8-foot privacy fence. If it doesn't sell for some reason, we would like, if somebody's not going to have outdoor storage, to go back to the 75-foot buffer, because M1 to A1 is 75 foot. So we would like for the board to adopt the comprehensive land, the requirements in the comprehensive land development ordinances. This is M1. It's inside the highway corridor, and it's been there for a long time. So, and I do have a letter from, the original letter that's in the minutes or in the agenda is a letter from my mother saying that she accepts the 50-foot. This is saying she actually accepts the 25-foot buffer with 8-foot fence. But basically what we're asking is that this is the same piece of property to us. I mean, it's been in our family for 100 years. My brother owns 6.73 acres. I own 7 acres. My mother owned about 11.4 of that land, and we're just asking to be treated the same. That we get the 25-foot buffer with an 8-foot fence, or 75 feet if this piece of property doesn't sell to Mr. Henderson, so that a future M1 developer can come in there and use it without having to come back to the board for other requests to use it how they see fit.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, thank you all. Is there anyone here opposing this reducing of the conditions on this? Please come forward one at a time and tell us your opposition.
Good evening. My name is Ken Archer. I reside at 3750 Great Avenue. I've had that property since 95, I believe it is, 95 or 96, about 25, 26 years. We have a horse farm there. We came to Walton County back then to have a horse farm and have some property, and we've seen a lot of change in Walton County, and I understand the change in Walton County. And I know there'll be some more change in Walton County, but I came to a zoning meeting, the first one I've ever been to in my life, back in February, I believe it was, maybe January, I can't remember exactly when it was. And the Zoning and Planning Commission said that they agreed that a 125-foot buffer with the fence and the Leyland cypress be put on the buffer line. And it came before the commission, the commissioners voted on it and said that's what it should be. And then all of a sudden we see a notice that there's another meeting to change all this. And I guess my concern is that if we can start changing things after everybody's agreed on it, this time, what's will happen to the rest of Walton County if everybody wants to argue or disagree with the commissioners or the zoning committee what they originally agreed on? And that, that's the only thing I have is I feel like a commitment's a commitment. If I make a commitment, I'm going to live with it the best I can, and I feel like that's what the county should do. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you, sir. Okay, next.
Good evening, Commissioners. Y'all bear with me. These sinuses with the pollen's been doing a number on me. My name's Trent Pippin. I reside with my family at 4029 Bailey Circle. It's the middle property of the three on Bailey Circle. I opposed this zoning because I was worried about it's going to affect the value of my property. I live with my family of 6. So obviously I had concerns with noise and just the level of living. We moved to Walton County a couple of years ago to get out of the hustle and bustle of the city and get some land. But on that being said, I understand. I've been on the other side of this coin in Rockdale County with my business. I understand that it's good for the county, brings jobs and revenue. I understand that. But the bottom line is that my property will take a hit. The buffer, the 125 feet in the Leland cypresses, that was what I felt to be a fair compromise. They get the rezoning, the favorable zoning, and that the county is doing everything that it can to ensure the value of the residences on Bailey Circle. I think that it's not asking too much. The other property, M2, for the majority, just borders a church. So I would just ask that the 125-foot buffer stay in place. Obviously, that will protect the value of my home in Rockdale County. I got approval on a rezone with conditions, and part of those conditions were I could only operate 8 hours a day. But that's what the conditions were. That's what it was agreed on. Honestly, I didn't even consider going back and asking again. So, like I said, the fence between the two properties and the buffer on the back, that's fine. I don't mind. But I would ask that they please keep the 125-foot buffer. You can't see, but I've already cleared about a third of the trees behind my house. I had intended on later this year clearing the rest of it so that I could have horses. So I would, and as far as the fence on the border, when I do clear it, I would rather not see their fence. It doesn't affect them one way or the other, whether the fence is on the buffer, because they can't use the wooded area anyway. So with that, that's all I have. Thank you all.
All right, thank you. Okay.
My name is Sid Gordon. I live at 4027 Bailey Circle. I'm Trent's neighbor, and the church is my other neighbor on the other side. I just wanted to address some of these things as they asked for them. We have no problem at all with them eliminating the 8-foot privacy fence between the M1 and the M2. That's between them. That's consistent with the code. And I was very glad to see that they added an extra 25 feet to our buffer. If I have to give something up, I wouldn't mind giving up the 25 feet. On the plans that Mr. Henderson brought when he came to get to M1, he showed a 100-foot buffer and fence all around his property. That was on the only plan, and that was the only sign that I ever saw about it. And what he's wanting to ask now is to move the sign closer to the property is just not within it. I don't know if you can bring up that picture, but I made several copies that his first, the thing that he brought showed a 100-foot buffer with an 8-foot privacy fence all the way around it. Since that time, we realized that the property to the east had been rezoned from residential to business, so he gains that 125 feet there because it's been rezoned. If Ms. Billingsley wants to give up her buffer, I wish that she wouldn't, but I understand. I love Norma to death. She's been a great friend and neighbor for the whole 26 years that we've been there. And I understand she has every right to try and get what she can, but it sounds like they're putting pressure on her, and that's why they wanted to lower the buffer. And tonight, if someone can please explain to me, I've never heard anything about this 75 feet, 25 feet thing that they're talking about changing the fence. I don't understand that at all. I've read the codes, and a 100-foot buffer is a 100-foot buffer. Mr. Henderson, when he submitted the plans to what he wanted to do, honored that 100-foot buffer and showed he was going to place a fence on that buffer. And The commission agreed to it and added 25 feet. Like I said, if I have to give anything up, I'll give up the 25 feet. The question about the Leyland cypress, I've been in landscaping for over 30 years. If he's going to build an 8-foot privacy fence, he's going to have room on either side of that fence to construct the fence. And I have almost 100 Leyland cypresses on my property, some of it border pine trees. The pine trees that are tall and have been there for so many years that the Billingsley have owned it, there's no foliage below 50 feet. His fence is still going to be visible from our property. So I don't want to give up the Leyland cypress because a Leyland cypress is much prettier than a metal 8-foot fence. I think that just about covers my objections to their request here.
All right, thank you, Mr. Gordon.
Thank you for hearing me.
Thank you. Next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Floyd Harris. I live at 3865 Green Avenue in this area. And I'm here primarily to support my neighbors who are most dramatically going to be affected by the rezoning. The rezoning's already been approved based on the conditions that we went through the last time we were here. Primarily, I think, from our commissioner, or our representative. And I just have a personal objection to being able to get something done that we all eventually accepted and then trying to go back and redo it. That's my
Okay.
objection.
All right, thank you, sir. Anyone else? Okay, seeing no more objections, I'll give the proponent a chance to answer the concerns just brought up.
And I apologize, I didn't introduce myself the first time. I'm Jim Billingsley. I'm Norman Billingsley's son, and I live on 2834 County Line Road in the very southeastern part of Walton County. We actually have a Covington mailing address, but we are in Walton County. I think we're in Commissioner Sheldon's district. I also own a business on 78 in Walton County called Regulator and Torch Exchange. I want to apologize to the board for not being prepared for the last meeting. We really had no idea what would transpire. As a property owner, my mother and my wife and I, most of the requests are from us. Because if this sale does not go through, we have a piece of property that was once resident or A1 that's now M1. I don't know what the taxes will be, but it will be substantially more. So we want to be able to make it as advantageous to a future buyer if the sale of this property to Mr. Henderson does not go through. The only thing that was upsetting to Mr. Henderson, and I apologize to the commissioner on it, I don't know your name, but when you were talking about having property that you got to give to somebody but you don't get to use, his biggest objection was having the fence on the inside of the property line. And that's basically willing the property to those 3 lots. Because if there's an 8-foot privacy fence, he has no access to it. He can't get to it because he can't get to it from any place. And then after reading all the codes, we realized that the codes are very restrictive compared to what the Walton County comprehensive plan calls. The 125-foot buffer is 500% more than what's required by the plan. Not to mention, it's an 850-foot border from that property line we're talking about, and every 25 feet is a half an acre that Mr. Henderson or a future owner will not be able to use. So I agree that we should have been more prepared. 100%. And I don't know if the sale will go through, if any of this is denied or what part, I don't know. But as a property owner, somebody's been paying taxes in Walton County for forever, and has owned this land, has really not enjoyed it, and as much as the community has, we would like for the same consideration that the 6.73 acres got just 6 months ago. It's the same piece of property. It's the same condition. It's inside the highway corridor. And I would also like to speak, I wasn't going to say anything about it, but I would also like to speak about some of the comments regarding my mother, and I'd like to put it in the record. She is one of the most generous, kind ladies I know, and some of y'all know her. There's not a greedy bone in her body. There's not an ungenerous bone in her body. She is not being coerced. She is not being pressured. My brother was approached, will you sell your land? He said, yeah, I will. Once that land sold, she has realized that as much as she's fought rezones in that area for 50 years since she's been there, you can't stop it. It's highway corridor. It's coming. So she decided to sell it. And any comments about her being greedy or selfish or being coerced is not true. She is actually looking forward to replacing the carpet in her 40-year-old house that hadn't been replaced since she built it, and putting windows in her house. She needs some repairs done to her house, and she's looking forward. She's been living since she was 49 years old in 1987 when my father died at 51, and didn't get to enjoy that property as their retirement in golden years. So, again, we apologize immensely for not being prepared for the last meeting. But we're just asking that the board give us the same consideration. Mr. Henderson, if he buys it, if he doesn't buy it, that we'll be able to sell it to another person that wants to develop it as M1 with the same consideration as that 6.73 acres. And that 6.73 was M2, was even more next step up from M1. So.
Okay. Any further questions from the board? Okay, you have a comment to make.
I do. I just want to clarify that Article 12, under buffers in our ordinance, requires a 75-foot buffer between M1 and a non-commercial zoning. And it does say that transitional buffer widths may be reduced to 25 feet by the addition of a solid opaque fence or wall at least 6 feet in height. And I believe our ordinance has changed to 8. So this is an old copy, but it does allow that. And I just wanted to make that known.
All right. I'm going to close the public hearing and see what the board wants to do on this item.
I appreciate Mr. Billingsley, what he said about last month, and I also wasn't, I guess in my desire to try to protect the Gordon and Pippin and Davis properties, and that's what I'm trying to do. I've visited the plant across the street that is already in operation. They got a wonderful operation. It's a wonderful business, a wonderful run business. I made some requirements that I probably should have a dumb tattoo in my forehead from last month, because I required that a fence be put inside the buffer. I can't ask anybody to put a fence that far inside a buffer. You got a right to put a fence on your property line. So that was my mistake. Somebody said something about coming back before the board after something was already passed. That there was several things changed. Ms. Billingsley making some concessions, and the property owner with the wood products next door making this between those two business owners, what they do on that property line. I have no problem with that. So on the elimination of the 8 feet property between M1 property and M2 between Mr. Gomez, I have no problem eliminating that. Eliminating the Leland Cypress, I'm going to move that we eliminate that. Along the property line of Gordon, Pippin, Gordon, and Davis properties, I still want a 100-foot buffer. And I'm going to stand on that, with the privacy fence on his property line. The buffers with Miss Billingsley, I have no problem with going from 100 to 50 on that. And that'd be my recommendation, motion.
Okay, did you get all that?
You get that, Shauna?
Okay. You heard Commissioner Banks' motion. Is there a second to his motion? We have a motion and seeking a second, so if you, we have a second and discussion. Any further questions from the board or discussion on this?
Mark, did you want to hear what he had to say before we vote? Did you want to hear
That would be proper now.
during discussion?
Yes.
Thank you.
On the back property line, we have a letter from my mother, one of the Billingsley, that's been notarized, she's okay with 25 foot, just like the code requires.
Yes.
With 8-foot privacy fence
Yes.
instead of 50.
All right. We have a motion and a second. I'm going to call the vote. Those in favor of
Is it
making
25 or
this-
50, Mark?
I'm
Is
sorry?
it 25 or 50?
On the back where Miss Billingsley on be 25.
Okay.
Okay, so that's in the motion.
All right, you want the motion read back aloud?
Yeah.
All right. Don't do that to you.
Got it, Shauna?
All right, Sharna, you can.
Can we just say what changed?
So there's no confusion. Let's get this right this time, or we'll be visiting something again.
Okay, let's see. We are going to eliminate the requirement for an 8-foot privacy fence between the M1 property and the M2 property. We are going to eliminate the condition for the planting of Leland cypress. Along the Gordon, Pippin, and Davis property, he wants to maintain a 100-foot buffer, but the fence can go on the property line. And then the buffer between this property and Miss Billingsley, what she will have left will go from 100 to 25. That's it.
And that's it.
That's right.
We have a motion and a second. We've had discussion. I'm going to call the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Okay, thank you all. Okay, administrative consent agenda. You all received your packets via email. Are there any questions on any of the items on the administrative consent agenda? If not, I entertain a motion that we approve the administrative consent agenda.
So move.
Have a motion by Commissioner Dixon.
Second?
We have a second, Commissioner Adams, I think.
Yes, sir.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Passes unanimous. All right, we have some budget resolutions. Milton?
Good evening.
Good evening.
The first one, 8.1, is to amend a project length budget that you approved in December of last year to renovate this building. Hank Shirley is here to say a few words.
Yeah, if y'all have any questions about it. Yeah, the project was bid out twice. The bid came back a little bit more than what I expected. There's a lot of sticker shock going on in the construction industry right now. I'd ask the board approval to amend the project length budget.
This is on this historic courthouse building.
Yes, sir.
And we'll be approving the actual low bid lower in the agenda, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. So we need to amend our budget to correspond to the new bid.
Yeah, to the bid price.
And that's the lowest bid we got, gentlemen.
We did bid it twice, and this is the most favorable price we've got.
And these windows need replacing.
It's a window replacement, painting the exterior, painting the clock tower, redoing the glazing around the windows and the clock face.
Okay.
And they're gonna repair some brick. There's a couple spots.
Any questions from the board? What was the amount we approved back in December?
120,000.
120, so it's 3 times almost.
It does have 50,000 of owner contingency in that, so.
Okay.
The actual price is a little bit lower than that, but I thought it prudent to put some contingency in there in case there's some unforeseen, something comes up. Whenever you start working on a building of this age, it's kind of open-ended.
Okay. If there's no more questions, entertain a motion to amend the project link budget for the historic courthouse.
So moved.
Have a motion?
Second.
Have a second? Any other discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimous. Resolution authorizing the increase in the aggregate of Synovus Visa limit.
Yes, sir. Each department, almost, not every department, has a credit card with a limit on it, like we do with our personal credit cards. But there's also an aggregate limit, which was $25,000. Recently, we've had a few people that had room on their card, but went to check out of a hotel, for example, for a conference, and because other cards had hit that aggregate total, the card was no good. Just to give you an example, so we are proposing to increase that aggregate amount to $45,000.
How much, 35?
45.
45?
Yes, sir, from 25. There's 15 active cards right now, department cards.
Okay. Any questions from the board? All right, entertain a motion to authorize this increase.
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Passes. All right, resolution, Walton County Comprehensive Transportation Plan.
I think the impact fee. Impact fee.
Oh, did I miss the impact fee? Thank you, I did. Capital Improvement Element Transmittal Impact Fee Program.
Right, and so this is in resolutions, but we do need to open a public hearing.
Okay, we need to open a public hearing.
Yes, sir.
All right. We'll open a public hearing, and Sharna, let you start.
Okay, yes, sir. This is the annual report that we have to turn in to the Regional Commission. They forward it to DCA. This is to get you guys to give approval for us to transmit that for their approval, review and approval.
Okay.
So,
All right, any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? I'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion to approve the impact fee program.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Passes unanimous. Now the Walton County Comprehensive Transportation Plan.
This is the plan that we worked on for 2 years with the municipalities, GDOT, the ARC, and public hearings. This resolution just shows the board's support for the 2022 Comprehensive Transportation Plan as a base document for transportation planning.
Okay. And Northeast Georgia Regional helps with this?
Yes, sir.
That's, all right. Entertain a motion to adopt this transportation plan, comprehensive transportation plan.
Motion approved.
Have a motion to approve.
Second.
Have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Okay, thank you. All right, contracts. I have been working with Hank, looking at our fleet, our vehicle fleet, and I've noticed that we now purchase our vehicles and drive them until the wheels fall off or until we need to replace. And a lot of municipalities and counties are entering into lease situations to keep their fleet more current, and it's more economical. If I'm from memory, it's 160 vehicles, 140? The total number that we're going to look at trading out over 4 years.
I think it was around
170 over 4 years. Now, we had to go ahead and do our budget this year, and we've approved purchasing in the 2023 budget some vehicles that we should be trading out and leasing. But in order to get into this lease agreement, we have a representative from Enterprise here for questions, and he'll be glad to come up here in a minute. I feel like the county can save, on average, over purchasing $1 million to $2 million a year by leasing our standard fleet. I'm not talking about sheriff's cars, and I'm not talking about big work trucks. I'm talking about the cleaning girls running around to different buildings, the tax assessors going out, doing their jobs and stuff like that. A lot of the work trucks that we use, the lighter ones, the F-150s, F-250s. And we lease these, and when the mileage reaches a certain level, they're swapped out and a new one's put in, and we get the resale profit on these vehicles. And the way the logarithms work is that over a 4-year period, I feel like we could save $2.6 million over what we're doing presently buying vehicles. And then you start benefiting on the resale and sale of the newer vehicles that you trade in and trade up on. And Hank feels like it would be a safety factor. All these newer vehicles have the backup cameras, have the beepers, keep an employee from backing into another employee or another citizen or whatever. So I wanted the board to look at entertaining leasing in the next year, and we start this fall. The vehicles will start arriving this fall. And if the gentleman from Enterprise would come up, because I may stumble here, trading out this many vehicles. We have ordered vehicles. We have our Roads and Bridges Department here. We've had the sheriff. We approved 5 sheriff's cars last year. They still have not come. Enterprise buys on a larger level too. They have access to vehicles. They should be able to get us F-250s and F-150s. And we wanted to start doing this in an effort for 2 reasons. Yes, we can save money, but in budgeting, when you department heads submit your budgets in, and it goes from 1.8 million in vehicles last year to this year, I think we had 3.9 requests on vehicles. That throws a budget, person doing a budget, just in a nightmare. But if we're leasing these 160 vehicles and get to, I think the program is just a little over $1 million a year, then we keep a fresh stock of vehicles, and I can budget for $1 million a year, $1 million next year, $1 million the next year, and I don't get blindsided with a 3.9 million year like I did this year. So that's the purpose in discussing this lease tonight, and hopefully move forward with leasing from Enterprise on the standard fleet, subject to the county reviewing the lease documents, and we agree on maintenance, and slowly move forward into this, and hopefully in 3 years have predominantly the fleet exchanged out in leased vehicles. So questions from Enterprise or questions from the board?
Well, I have a couple.
All right.
So, it sounds like that they will maintain, will y'all service
No.
and maintain the vehicles, or will still service?
We will service, they got two programs, one where they will,
Okay.
but we pay a service fee.
Fee, correct.
We have a shop, and the new vehicles, there'll be less maintenance,
Okay.
is what we found out. We get this fleet changed out in 4 years, we're going to have better gas mileage because they're newer vehicles we're going to have a better safety record of our employees. We're going to have less maintenance costs because there'll be oil changes and rotating tires and the standard first 4 years of a vehicle service. And we can do either way. We can enter into a service agreement with Enterprise, or we can service them ourselves.
Yeah, we have a great shop. I'd like to stay there.
And they keep up with the mileage. It's up to them when they get traded in.
Okay. What about warranty? Warranty issues and stuff? I mean, because sometimes new vehicles have issues as well.
Sure.
Good question.
My name is Tony McDonald, by the way, MAC, Director with Enterprise Fleet Management. So warranty the vehicles, that's a manufacturer sort of agreement. So any manufacturer warranties that come with the vehicle pass through to the county.
Another question was insurance and claims. We insure the vehicles, even though we're leasing them.
That's right.
And if one gets totaled, then it's up to our insurer to reimburse us, and we settle on the lease amount. I think the mayor from Monroe's here tonight, and they lease their vehicles from Enterprise. And it's turned out to be a very good deal.
It's been a good program for us.
Thank you.
What about electric vehicles?
Huh?
The electric vehicles, do they?
We're going to work toward that since we have a major hopeful coming into the county in Rivian. I'd like to buy the first one off their assembly line for me personally, not the county. But anyway, yes, the electric vehicles will be ideal for the standard county employee, the DA running back and forth to Newton County, the tax assessor running out, checking, even the code department going during inspections during the day, come back, plug in, next morning they're ready to go again. And these vehicles, the torque and power on the electric, I've been reading up on them. I've drove them in one, but they are pretty impressive. But yes, the repairs, we'll meet our deductible on them like we would owning them. And then the insurance will take care of the rest. The cost is somewhere, depending on the vehicle, it appears to be between $5,000 and $7,000 a year, depending on the vehicle, on the lease amount. That'll depend on the style vehicle you get. F-250 truck costs more than a F-150 on the lease amount.
What about a Chevrolet?
They make them too, I hear.
What's the mileage requirement or limit? And how's the buyback work once you run to term?
Sure. So the type of lease that you would enter into is an open-ended equity lease. So there's two different types of leases that are kind of out there. There's a kind of a fixed lease that you're used to seeing from, maybe a dealership. That's a fixed term, that's fixed miles, wear and tear clauses. That's a closed-ended net lease. What we're recommending would be an open-ended equity lease. So there's no mileage restrictions. We just set up a mileage pattern. I think we use somewhere around 10,000-ish, 7 to 10,000, as a depreciation schedule. Not that you're beholden to that. You do not get penalized if you go 1 mile over. We don't charge you a cent per mile. It's really just based on a depreciation schedule. So that when that vehicle sells in 3, 4, 5 years, whenever we help you deem that's the right time to sell the vehicle, we settle that balance, and the county gets the difference. Does that make sense?
What if it's upside down, which it shouldn't be?
Should not be, correct. But the same thing applies. You would make up the difference.
If they do their job monitoring and watching the resale values like they've showed me they've been doing, the county actually make money on the vehicles when they are liquidated, which factors into the equation of the county saving money over what we're doing right now.
Well, what about like today? Like, you know, you used to go buy a truck for $70,000. That same truck today is 80.
Mm-hmm.
So if we buy them at 80 and 2 years from now they worth 60, what happens?
Well, you're depreciating the vehicle. We're setting it up on the right depreciation schedule.
Let me ask you, have you seen one go backwards lately?
I think they're going to.
Eventually, they will. They're not always going to be appreciating assets, that's for sure. But we manage that equity component.
We'll be getting them and trading, once the 4 years gets here, we'll be constantly rolling the stock. So there'll be an average. Some of them you may not make money on. Some of them you will.
We wouldn't put you in an
One thing to make it easy, when we set and budget, we know how much we're going to budget for vehicles, you know.
Yeah, what's the average, Mr. Chairman, or if it's okay if I ask one of the department heads?
Oh, yeah.
The average of what y'all put, because I know John and Ray, y'all both drive a lot, because y'all do this number responding to complaints all day versus the average work crew that goes out there, parks the truck, and gets on the tractors and bush hogs. So what do you think your average is for your department per year on mileage? Per year?
I would say that's kind of high looking at the fleet numbers. We crunched the numbers and they are all over the place. Some people are like 3,000, 2,000 miles a year.
Sure.
Some people are, like John said, about 30. But I would say it's all over the place.
You know, the county would be better off paying the mileage they use in their own car when they're only 3,000 or 4,000 miles a year on a county vehicle, and us buying that vehicle. It depreciates pretty fast. Comments, disapprovals?
What about availability? I mean, I know that there's a crunch as far as availability concerned now. It's going to get better. How do you determine when there's multiple counties in this pool trying to get vehicles? How do you determine who gets it in priority?
So we work individually with each entity. It requires a good deal of planning. And we want to order all of your vehicles directly through the manufacturer. So that's how the ordering process would take place. So from a government entity perspective, you get your coded government, it goes directly through the manufacturer. You're ordering exactly what you need from a spec perspective. Those go into the queue at the manufacturer. Enterprise does not decide who gets vehicles.
And also, what they noted, if we can talk the DA staff and people that are driving Explorers and stuff like that right now, and they're driving a crew cab F-150, that truck will bring half again as much as that Explorer when it's ready to trade in.
Mr. Chairman, with the projected savings, I feel like I'd like to make a motion we approve moving forward.
I appreciate that, and we will, once the actual list is compiled, Hank will have a more detailed of what we're going to start off with on the lease, because we just approved, I don't forget, 15 or 16 new vehicles in this new budget that will not be traded out on lease. And, but we have a motion to move forward, looking at this enterprise leasing, enter into a lease, and when the vehicles come in, that will be a budget amendment at that time, but they'll come in 25 and 30 at a time, is what I'm told. And it'll be over this next year, probably will not start till November or December, if we start now.
Mr. Chairman, I think it was understood in his motion, but we haven't reviewed the.
And it's contingent upon the attorneys
Yes, sir.
approving the lease documentation. And with that being understood to his motion, we'll look for a second if someone so chooses.
Second.
I have a second from Commissioner Shellnut. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Okay. Acceptance of bids and proposals. We have a historic courthouse exterior repair that we just approved amending the budget, and the new budget amount on the contract is $326,194.
That's correct.
That's correct. This is the second go-round on bidding this out. The bids were extremely high, and this is the best price we could get from a qualified bidder.
So moved.
We got a motion to approve?
Second.
Got a second? Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Acceptance of bid 2022, milling and deep patching.
So moved.
Well, let him say how much. Someone's hungry.
I read my packet.
I did too.
This is our LMIG, our yearly milling and deep patching. We bid it out, and we're asking that you accept the low bid from MHB Paving, $178.22 per ton at
All right.
3,500 tons.
We have a motion from Commissioner Bradford.
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, the next one, I want to let the press know about this too and make note of it. This started last May. It's taken this long to get it engineered and actually this is the North Loop Water Transmission Main. This is going to address some of the low-pressure issues in North Walton County by enlarging that water main. There will be another one coming right behind this one, as well as a water tank in the Campton area, improving our water department. But we actually have this bid in, and Mid-South Builders is the low bid. The bid price is $2,477,000 for the North Loop Water Transmission Main. And I'd like to entertain a motion that we move forward with this for our water department.
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion, we approve.
I have a motion from Commissioner Adams. Got a second from Commissioner Banks.
Got one question.
Yes, sir.
Do I need to, I bid this. do I
You
need-
bid this, you need to abstain regardless, I think. Yeah, you can vote. Be careful with that one. All right, we have a motion and a second to move forward, and I'm excited about this. We're finally going to stop some of these water headaches we got. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Mr. Shellnut, please. No. Okay, we have Walton County Board of Tax Assessors. Tommy Knight is requesting to appoint Janice Manuel to the Board of Tax Assessors. And I will take that as a nominee and make it a motion, I guess.
So move.
And need a second?
Second.
Got a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Okay, Walton County Department of Family and Children's Services, Tina Murphy, DFACS Director, request us to appoint Dina Huff to the Department of Family and Children's Services. Would one of you gentlemen kindly do that?
So move.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Unanimous? Is there any discussion? Any announcements need to be made? There is need for executive session on real estate and legal matters. So we need a motion to adjourn to executive session.
So moved.
Got a motion?
Second.
Got a second? All those in favor, say aye.
Happy Tuesday, man.
I'll see you next time.
Try to avoid those.
Picking with me?
Unless you're suing somebody.
I can't come
No,
Friday.
we're not suing.
I can't come to
All right,
Friday.
thank you, David.
Works. Everything going good?
Yeah, it's great.
Doing pretty good.
See, Loganville people, man. I said, how do Waterlands come out there, my project out there at my Stone Tree Road?
We're coming along. I mean, Rodney's moving as much as he can.
I saw it looking good.
He looks tired.
Huh?
Rodney looks tired.
He looks tired.
lost everybody. We generally always do. Forget we're still on camera. We retire from the executive session. All right, need a motion to retire from executive and go back into regular session.
So moved.
Have a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. We have nothing to report from executive session. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Need a second.
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are now adjourned.
Hey, let me ask you.
You got one behind you, baby.
Anderson,
Saw 109 people.
on that old building over there,
Probably 110.
of the, old pharmacy building, right there, right across from the bank. Oh, yeah. It's an old.
Yeah.